I've seen Dr. Abbas here. We definitely owe him a hand of gratitude for having chaperoned the Red Cross in Kenya for a long time, extremely effectively. He became one of the top diplomats of this country during his tenure. We really appreciate that. So, ladies and gentlemen, Kenya is still keen to continue collaborating with the rest of the Red Cross movement to achieve our mutual goals and strategic objectives, always. On behalf of His Excellency the President, William Ruto, who is out of the country and is the patron of the Kenya Red Cross Society and the people of Kenya, I believe you will have fruitful discussions over the next 3 days. While at it, I hope you also spare some time to enjoy the warm hospitality and magical attractions that Nairobi and the people of Kenya have to offer, including visiting the only wildlife park in the world within a city. It is just across the road behind this hall. But I advise that don't just cross and walk into it, because there's wildlife there. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and asanteni sana. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the government of Kenya, may I thank the leadership of the IFRC for choosing Kenya as the host of this meeting. We appreciate that this international conference comes on the back of the critical Africa Climate Summit that ended here last week. Through your choice, the people of Kenya feel that they are honored hosts to go to. I am certain some of you must have already felt the warmth and charm of welcoming Kenyans. Kindly send your selfies back home with the message that for Kenyans, guests are their business. I must commend the Red Cross for your work in this country and the region. In particular, I extend gratitude to Kenya Red Cross for being a concerned partner, for aligning priorities with the ones set forth by the government for the people of Kenya. We appreciate that all these will be achieved through the backing from the global Red Cross and Crescent movement in selfless service to humanity. Thank you for your substantive program support and assistance in many sectors. We recognize your global Red Cross and Red Crescent movements networks have saved lives in dire situations of rescue and evacuation from war, deprivatization, through your extensive network of local branches and volunteers of national societies. You have grown livelihoods to sustain communities in need throughout the world. The world cannot, for any moment, forget or pretend not to know how tirelessly you work to alleviate human suffering and build resilience of communities on behalf of and in collaboration with governments all over the world. As we gather here, climate change is causing havoc on the continent. In Libya, heavy rainfall and flooding resulted in a large-scale destruction. 2 dams collapsed. At least 20% of the eastern city of Dana, home to around 125,000 people, has been destroyed. The death toll is estimated at 20,000 and still counting. In Morocco, a devastating earthquake has claimed 3,000 estimated dead and an equal number injured and unaccounted destruction. It's at this juncture that I say and request you, could we please rise and observe a minute's silence in empathy with these two countries and the people therein. Thank you. Be seated. As a result of such pestilence, hunger is one of the most undignified sufferings of humanity. I couldn't agree more with these words of President Roca when he spoke at a high-level conference on food security and nutrition co-organized by IFRC, African Union, African Development Bank, and the FAO in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, at the height of the COVID-19 devastation. Those words still ring true because Africa remains at risk of losing lives and livelihoods. For us, therefore, climate change is not a theoretical subject, but a reality of our daily lives. That is why Africa held the Climate Summit to prepare Africa's position for COP28. I appreciate that in the next 3 days, conversations will center on the deliberations of the Africa Climate Summit. Particularly, you will speak to the Pan-African initiatives which touch on scaling up of climate environmental solutions, such as cleaning and greening. Second, enhancing local readiness to respond to disasters. Third, achieving hunger resilience through the Zero Hunger Initiative. And fourth, how to address migration and population movement in the continent. As you do so, remember our Africa perspective position and ambitions under the Nairobi Declaration are simple and attainable. A, it is not too much to demand that all states and governments implement targets and commitments from previous meetings such as in Copenhagen, Paris, and Glasgow. B, Africa expects the global community to deliver on the commitment to support community adaptation to effects of climate change through increased financing for mitigation. C, the Red Cross and Red Crescent movement respond to the worst effects of climate change in Africa. We will therefore not relent advocating for more resources to be committed to institutions such as the Red Cross and Red Crescent. I am therefore grateful that the theme of this conference is renewing investments in Africa, with a focus on innovative approaches to financial solutions. We must continue to build strong local actors who effectively address challenges facing our continent. I am a strong believer in the proper use of immense resources available in our continent, both natural and human. With respect to Kenya, the Red Cross has been our key partner before and more after our independence. You have made an enormous contribution to the social economic development of this country. We have partnered not only in the area of emergency response, but in the wider context of linking resilience of communities to long-term development. On behalf of the people of Kenya, we commend the Red Cross for always being there and ready whenever needed. Ladies and gentlemen, impartial, Neutral humanitarian service and assistance at all times are not just words. They invoke meaning of a great humanitarian achievement. Over 160 years ago seems like yesterday, when Henry Dunant responded to a cry to attend to persons injured in war. With that simple act of mercy, his idea of unprejudiced and neutral humanitarian assistance birthed the great worldwide movement. It feels like yesterday because the objectives that inspired the founder of the Red Cross and led to the formation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent movement are still as relevant today as they were in the 19th century. To quote your president, Francesco Roca, I am speaking to the world's largest humanitarian network composed of 192 national societies, constituting 14 million volunteers worldwide, prepared, committed, and ready to respond to disasters and crises at local, national, and regional scale. With this massive infrastructure, the Red Cross and Red Crescent work holds a special place in the annals of the African continent. Whether it is for want of healthcare, food, water, or blood, you are the front line of risk in most hostile environments and in marginalized and hard-to-reach communities. Unfortunately, the continent continues to experience recurrent man-made and natural disasters that lead to massive death, huge population displacements and movement, and painful disruption of people's livelihoods. More than any other organization, I dare say, you are responsible for keeping Africa fed, treated, and alive. You are an integral part of the target to enhance the resilience of communities to climate change. With the precision of meteorological warning, predictability, you are on the front line of spreading awareness that despite Africa being the least contributor to global emission, and by extension climate change, we bear the brunt of the effects in the form of extreme weather events such as heat waves, floods, and droughts.